welcome back to a new episode of On the Grass with myself, Amy Russell and Lucy Trail. And today we're delighted to be joined by Chloe Hunter, football coach and Derby University graduate for sports and rehab. How are you today? What have you been up to recently in coaching?
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. So recently in coaching, it's been a little bit of a whirlwind, kind of part of the season, to be honest with you. But recently graduated from the Powerhouse programme. So that was our UEFA B prep, run by the Makita sisters, who have been unbelievable, supportive and just really, really good. So that ended in July. And then just about to start my B licence next week, actually. So in terms of quals, that's kind of where we're at, and then just really busy doing a range of different ages, teams, and just really enjoying this season so far.
Perfect. That's really exciting. We're going to start with a little icebreaker, just to kind of warm you up. Okay. So Lucy's going to lead it, so whenever you're ready, Lucy.
Okay, so you've got 30 seconds.
Okay.
Just going to do a little icebreaker, and your question is: which area from the Four Corner long-term player development model should be prioritised just before kick-off? And then also, just to add to that, how would you differ that from the Hilton Under-11 girls to say Birmingham City Academy?
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Okay. Are you ready with the timer? Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay. So I would prioritise tactical, generally. But from Hilton under 10s, when I had them, it was very much more around the social aspect. So them coming in, making sure they're happy, having a smile on the face, getting what they're getting from the game in terms of their social development. When I moved across to Birmingham City with the 14s, it was a lot more heavy around technical, tactical, and how we wanted to play. So I think you'd prioritise that side of the model more.
Perfect. In time.
Yeah, just in time. Well done. So recently we've seen that you've been working with the FA and you're based at St George's Park.
Yeah.
What is it that you do there and what's it like? How do you find it?
So I'm based up at St George's with the FA. So what I do there is I'm part of the kind of experience day coaching team. We also do a little bit around hydrotherapy as well, which I lead on, which is really nice. So we have teams coming in who kind of want the England experience. So it's amazing to be up there. It's absolutely unreal to get to be there quite a few days out of the week. And we have a range of ages. So I work with anyone really, from grassroots all the way through to academies that come in. We've had international people the last couple of weeks, so that's been really exciting. And they come in, they have a tour, so they get to see behind the scenes kind of what happens, and then we'll run a 90-minute coaching session with them. So it's really nice for me to work right across from under 8s all the way to adults, and also working with both boys and girls, because I'd say I've got more experience in the female game, but over the last couple of months I'd say I've probably worked with boys more. But being up there is unreal. Just the people that you get exposed to, conversations that you have even just at lunch and stuff is unreal, and to just be kind of walking around and seeing people that you grew up watching is crazy. Getting invited to things as well, just seeing some training sessions. I think since being there it's definitely up my game in terms of knowing that the standard is high there. It's been really good, and it's nice to be based up there a little bit more permanently now. So it's really, really good.
So obviously that's what life's like now. I kind of just want to dial it back and kind of find out a bit more. How did you get into coaching? What kind of kick-started your coaching life?
Yeah, so it's a bit of a mad story, to be fair. So I never was really interested in coaching whatsoever. I came to Derby Uni and I did sports therapy and rehab because since I was about 15 I always wanted to be the person that runs on with the bag and checks that everyone's okay. So I knew I wanted to be in football or in sport in some manner. I grew up with football massively, was a huge part of our house. My brother played academy football till he was 16, so I was always kind of in and amongst it, going every weekend. We're massive Hull City fans. So we went to Hull City every weekend, and I always saw the person running on going, that's what I want to do. So that's kind of from 15 onwards became the priority. So I went to college and did sport, football, biology, all of that, and then got a place on the sports therapy and rehab course here. Loved it to an extent, but then kind of went on placement and was this is really good, but this is not what I want to do. So I was fortunate enough to be with Derby County Women, who were unreal to me, and I owe them a lot for what they did. and took, like, I had people there that took me under their wing massively. But I think I always wanted to be on the pitch, so every time that there was like an injured player and we was inside, I kind of just wanted to know what was going on outside. So I think I kind of sat down and had a really important conversation and just said, like, I'm enjoying being here and around it, but not necessarily in this kind of concept of what kind of my role was. So there was a kind of day that we went to, that we got invited to, which was like a coach's kind of sidelines workshop, with 3 people who I'm really close to now. So like Sam and Alex were there, and you had to stand up and basically say why you wanted to be there. And I just went along for a little bit of a, not really a laugh, but like I just went to go, oh well, maybe I could do something. And you had to stand up and say like why you wanted to coach, and I literally just stood up and said that I was 23 from home, and that's all I kind of said. And then I sat back down because I was so nervous. So yeah, no, it was really, really good. And then from that point onwards, I kind of went to help out a Grassroots, like, local team. So I was there for about 2.5 years. So I started with under 9s, and I genuinely started picking up the cones, and that's not even a word of a lie. Like, I started picking the cones up, that's all I did, that was my only role. And then the head coach kind of left, so it was like, do you want to take over? And I was like, yeah, okay. And I was completely out of my depth, and they funded my level 1 and like my playmaker and everything. So without Hilton, I wouldn't be where I am, because they funded everything for me. And then I kind of got on my C licence, so that was kind of a really, really good opportunity for me to push myself a little bit. So I thought, right, I kind of want an older age group now. So I kind of did probably what I shouldn't have done, is I jumped from 10s to 16s, which was crazy. So I went just to a Bryan Albion interview and thought, I'm never going to get it, but I'm going to have a go. So I went, and somehow they employed me, which was crazy at the time. So I was there for a couple of seasons working with their ETC and like academy set up. And then, yeah, I kind of just spiraled from there really into, okay, this is something now that I want to do. So it became the difficult conversation of, do I carry on with my degree or not? I was kind of doing my degree all day and then coaching every night of the week, which probably wasn't healthy at all. And I was prioritising coaching over my degree, which again I probably shouldn't have been doing. But I had an amazing like lecturer who kind of supported me with both. Yeah. And he was just like, right, how do we fit this around everything? So that was really, really good. And then from there I went into a bit of a different role with Derby, so I then kind of became a bit more of an S&C coach and led on the fitness aspect for pre-season the next season. But it was nice to kind of be on the pitch and sorting out more of the pitch-based fitness stuff. Became a little bit more part of the coaching conversations, which was nice, but I still did the 16s. And then I moved across to like full-time football once I'd graduated, which was like nearly 2 years ago now. So yeah, I had a role at Birmingham City, which was unbelievable, and I headed up their 14s there, which was massively different, I would say, from the 16s. I think a 14-16s jump is huge, but because I was in charge on my own with the 14s, I felt like massive pressure. So that was like good for me, and I worked a little bit in schools and I did a bit of S&C, so I kind of had like a bit more of a rounded role. And then yeah, like kind of moved into first team football a little bit more this season, and more kind of 16 to 21s based now. And then looking at when I do go onto my B licence, like how I can then progress that into full-time, hopefully adult football one day. So that's kind of the journey across where we are now. Yeah.
Obviously you kind of got, like you said, thrown into the deep end in a way.
Yeah.
So do you think that kind of helped you progress in your coaching development as well, starting at under 9s and then going all the way up to adult football?
Yeah, definitely. I think I threw myself into the deep end, so it was my own fault really. But yeah, I definitely think had I not done that, I don't think I'd be where I am today, because that throwing you in at the deep end makes you go, okay, I'm either going to crumble here, or I've got to kind of work a lot harder than I thought I would have to.
Yeah.
Because especially when you get to like a 16s or above, like even the 14s at Birmingham, they're looking to you for the answer every time, and they're looking to you for the reasons why, and they're looking at you going, you're the leader, like we need you to kind of step up. And they probably didn't know how out of my depth I was at the 16s, but I was lucky to work with someone who was amazing, and we both kind of led together, which I learnt a lot from him. And I think he threw me in the deep end as well, which kind of helped. But I think tactically, my knowledge had to massively improve.
Yeah.
So I think in terms of like what you were saying about the coach development, I had to massively improve that. And I've done that through like mentors who have been unreal to me. And because I kind of went in and went tactically, I'm not where I need to be. So I think with the 16s, coming from a 10s to 16s is a massive shift anyway, just in terms of the environment. But tactically was probably the biggest thing I think that needed to improve.
Yeah, I know you've talked about how you've got your B licence coming up. Just talk us through some of your coaching qualifications that you have at the minute.
Yeah, so I started off on my EE Playmaker, which was kind of like the first thing I did, and then went on to my level 1 while I was at Hilton. Completed my UAFC, which was the first time I was ever kind of in and had to actively coach and get watched, which I think is so difficult because you're getting like every move is being watched. So I thought I had to step up on that. So I did my UEFA C probably about 2 years ago now. Just done my UEFA B prep program, which is a brand new program with Powerhouse. So that definitely pushed me like tactically as well, which I think helped with the transition, especially because I was in first team at that point. And then just on my UEFA B now, so started all of my like pre-tasks for that, and then hopefully this season, by the end of this season or the end of this year, I'll be like finished with that. So that's kind of like the coaching qualifications I've got, but I've also kind of done a lot of stuff alongside that. So I've got like my scouting badges, and because that was kind of another avenue that I needed to go down when I moved 14, 16s of who can I bring in, who can I look at, who's on trial, who's a yes, who's a no. So I did that alongside as well. So I'm now like level 2 talent ID and scout, and then hopefully we'll get my level 3 at some point as well.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that's great.
So obviously you've been in and around the coaching environment, especially young children.
Yeah.
What do you think like is the most important thing when working with young children? Like how do you kind of get them to listen to you and be on board with what you're saying? What's the most important aspect?
That's a good question. I think it's really difficult to you have to know your environment. I think that's really important. But with young kids, I think you've almost got to be a young kid. Like you've almost got to like meet them at their level and go, right, we've got to have fun, we've got to be engaging. But I think you've also got to be a massive role model to them and like be strict with your boundaries. I think that's one thing I massively learnt with the under 10s is, you can have a laugh and a joke, but you also are the role model, you're also the person that's safeguarding them, and you're also kind of a second parent to them. I think maybe I didn't realise how much I was until I kind of stepped away, and we're still in contact now when I go down to games and parents still message me, and that's really, really nice. But I think safeguarding massively is one of the most important things, and I think knowing when maybe they need a different approach, and like one size doesn't fit all with every single kid, and I think I massively learned that like early on. I think with young kids it's about the enjoyment aspect, it's about making sure that they're safe and just like making sure they're happy mainly. I think that's one thing I learned, that you don't necessarily need to drive standards, and I think maybe I learned that the hard way in terms of I did drive standards really early on and then kind of went, oh, this approach isn't working. So I then kind of went down there, okay, what do they need? So I'd say knowing your environment, knowing your kids, being close to them, and almost it not being football all the time. Like they do have other things going on. Can you remember what their favourite tea is and if they've had it this week, or can you remember what they've done at school? Like I know when I was coaching the under 10s, it was like sports day, so it's like, do you remember little details like that, so that when they're coming back they're not just going, oh, it's football, but she asks about our life, our school and everything. I think that's something that you need to almost go, we're not just raising like good players, you've got to try and raise like good people as well. So I think you've got to have the right environment to do that in.
Definitely. I think a personal level is crucial to understanding coaching, and inclusivity is also essential. So earlier this week, co-host Jack Bryan went down to visit Derby FA HQ, and he spoke to the inclusivity officer there, Stephanie Heck. So here's what he found out.
So I guess, first of all, let's just dive into exactly your role and what you do here.
Yeah, so my role is I'm a football development officer at Derbyshire FA, so I cover the entire female pathway, the entire disability pathway, and all things inclusion across Derbyshire.
Yeah, so what does that mean in practice, really? Kind of how do you go about that, and how does that differ from kind of day to day of maybe men's able-bodied football?
Yeah, I think for me it's mainly about creating a space to break down those barriers for for those in football to get involved. It varies differently from club to club. Everybody will have a different barrier that they face. So kind of working with them to identify what those challenges are, and really kind of sitting down, having the patience to really understand how I can best support them, what's the best support that Derbyshire FA can provide, whether that's myself or somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, just to bring us some context in here, there are a lot of barriers to even disabled people watching sport. I think the last survey I saw was that more than 25% are put off from going to a ground purely for fear of ableist abuse, which is quite a telling statistic. And of course, you've then got the physical impairments in terms of the factors for actually partaking in sport. I mean, around a third of disabled people report just struggling to even get outside and access these spaces. So I think a key part of this is just purely making these welcoming environments right for everyone, and making sure that it's a fun experience first and foremost, because this is as much as it's about football, it's about general health and well-being and exercise, right? When you've got, I think it was 79% of disabled people not hitting that 2.5 hours a week. I mean, to be honest, I'm probably guilty of that myself. And it's down to having these spaces. So what sort of things are most important in making these spaces accessible for disabled people?
I think the first thing that comes to mind for me is, is it a level ground? Is there an access to, you don't have to go upstairs, or, when you go and fill up your water bottle, is there one that is accessible for somebody, depending on if they're in a wheelchair, if they're not in a wheelchair, maybe they've got some crutches, or, they've got something to help, like a walking aid, is the first thing that comes to mind. But then I think the next step that I really think about when I go through kind of creating an inclusive space is, how supportive and inclusive are the other staff? How friendly are they? That when you arrive, is naturally the first thing that comes to mind is you're going to go in, you're going to be greeted by somebody, and I think how patient and understanding are they is massive. And then the third thing that I look at is when I go out to the facility, I go out to the pitch, actually, is it quiet? Is there, say you're neurodiverse, or say you need 2 minutes, you don't have to be neurodiverse, but say you need 2 minutes to just kind of decompress, you're overstimulated. Is there the opportunity for you to do that? I think is really massive. And I went to visit a club last night, actually, and we stood out there before the session even started, and it was dead quiet. It was unbelievable, and I thought this is the most ideal place to do it. I had a 3G, it was quiet, it was flat, there was something that everybody could take part in. So those are the three things that I really look at.
And from a kind of, because obviously this is a kind of coaching focused podcast at times, what are the differences in that sort of setup with how things might be coached to make these sessions inclusive as well?
Yeah, I think so. You have pockets or bags of fidget toys. So when you arrive, is maybe you set them out, you put them to one side, and you've got fidget toys to an area, and just identify to the players, participants, whoever it may be, that actually, look, you need 2 minutes. There's a little, not a sensory corner, but there's a sensory area you can go to. It's actually promoted. It's not something that's like you're going into timeout. You're not going into timeout. Actually, you need 2 seconds. You have every right to take 2 seconds. And even when they arrive, there's certain tool packs now that the FA have that we actively promote, and there's little like emojis. So you'll have like a happy face, nervous face, excited, tired. You have basically a bunch of different ones, and just to have the participants show up and plop them down like a bib where they're feeling. If they're feeling tired, you can then amend your session to the participants, so you understand exactly how they feel in that moment, because just for them, like you said, to get there, it's really important that actually the sessions are tailored to the participants you have on the day, because you could have 10 participants, but they could all require all these different things, and it's really understanding what's the most positive impact you can have on them.
Yeah, and I guess in that respect, it's breaking down those barriers in terms of communication as well, and finding with that effective ways to have those conversations, because I guess you've got to adapt quite quickly in those scenarios as well. If you've got lots of different people with different needs, rather than running one size fits all kind of coaching session as you might see in kind of mainstream able-bodied football, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it depends. You want them to feel comfortable. If they don't feel comfortable, they don't enjoy it. So partner them up with their best friend, say, getting partners or getting pairs, and then they work in that pair and they learn that new technique in that pair. So say they're learning how to turn, they're actually learning how to turn with their best friend, who they feel 100 times comfortable with. And then when you go into a bigger drill, they actually feel more comfortable to step outside their comfort zone, because they turn around and say, I've just done that with my best friend. I now can go do that in a group of people. And then maybe it won't work the first time, but to give them the opportunity to try it, I think will mean the world to them.
Yeah, and of course, all this time you are building those relationships, those teamwork skills, those social skills that these environments can bring. Because I think I look back to kind of growing up and all my mates sort of playing in local teams every Saturday, right? Yeah. You have that whole other group that you are with. It's building those bonds and those relationships, and I think that's a really valuable thing as well.
Yeah, 100%. So, yeah, the belonging in football. Football's very emotive. We're all here because of football. Coaches go out every weekend because they love football. They love that impact. So yeah, I think it's massive. And by tailoring your sessions to be inclusive for your participants, that you'll immediately foster that belonging.
Yeah, where do you kind of see things going over the next few years? Where do you see the kind of developments?
Yeah, I think it's as we're investing a lot of money into the new pitches, new 3Gs, why that looks. Grassroots clubs are now in their project plans with their 3Gs. They're sat down and they're saying, actually, you need a disability time slot. You need a time slot that's for this session. And it's not just 10 p.m. on a Friday night. It's a prime time spot, maybe on a Tuesday, maybe on a Wednesday from 5:30 to 6:30 or 6 till 7. Because we need to understand that this is probably one of the only times they're going to come out that week, and really understand that actually this is their team. This is where they belong. This is where they can foster that inclusive space, and understand that it will look different in every club. And I think 5-10 years from now, I think there's going to be a lot more opportunities within club spaces. The clubs in Derbyshire have been incredibly proactive. A lot of people that I've met so far, as it's being imposed, they're really, really keen. They really understand, and they're all beginning to try and find that prime time slot, that it's not just an afterthought. I think the opportunity will be in clubs. I think there'll be a lot of time, a lot of different opportunities across different clubs. So what I always say is, if one club doesn't work for you, just like in any version of football, go try another one, because there is one that is out there, that we have enough opportunities across Derbyshire that there is an opportunity, and no matter where you look.
Yeah, amazing, brilliant. I think it is really encouraging to see this development, even over, you talk about the next 5-10 years, even the last 5-10 years. I think from what you're describing now to maybe some of the things that I saw growing up, there's been a heck of a lot, and I think as long as it keeps moving in this direction, then hopefully we're in a really exciting time.
Yeah, absolutely. We are, it's going to be good. It's going to be revolutionary, and it's only the beginning. We've got our league, Derbyshire Ability Counts League, that goes every fourth Sunday of the month. We've got over 200 people playing in that, week in, month in, month out. I think it's a beautiful opportunity, really. Some county base don't have that, so we have the luxury of having that, and we've got 3 disability ambassadors who are all exceptional. They've all got different expertise that they bring to the table, and every time you sit down with the club, I always leave and I actually feel more motivated to kind of wake up and come back and do my job the next day. So incredibly grateful for the community that's in Derbyshire.
So I guess, what sort of opportunities are out there? What's out there for people if they want to get involved?
So if you want to get involved in a team-based opportunity, we have the Derbyshire Ability Counts League, so that runs from 1 p.m. till 4 p.m. down at Sleepmore, and we've got, I think, 23 teams competing, over 200 people that come, and I think that's a really good competitive league, and I think it's, if you're want to be involved in more structured team-based opportunities, that's definitely something to be involved in. Again, if anybody has any questions on that, they can please reach out to me. I'm more than happy to enter in a team. Teams can join at any time of the season. And then if you're interested in just a session opportunity, so whether 5 to 12, you want to get involved in a combat session, 12 to 16, you want to get involved in disability rec session, or just play 16 plus, 18 plus, whatever you're interested in, you just want to kind of turn up week in, week out, just a fun session, get involved in football for maybe the first time. I think those are all on Book Football. So Book Football is the platform that the FA use for session opportunities, and it's, you put in your postcode, you put in your age, you put in if you want to play disability specific football, whatever that may be. Most of our sessions in Derbyshire are pan disability, so you have to put in pan disability football, your age, and then it will actually pop up with any session around you on a map, and it will say there's this session down in Derby. Fantastic, you can register online and you're all good to rock up to that session.
Excellent, yeah, that's brilliant.
Welcome back. So I just want to talk about, like, obviously I'm a player, I'm playing for Sheffield at the minute, Sheffield FC, and we don't really have many female coaches, I think. I feel like that's kind of a lack at the minute.
Yeah.
And what would you kind of say is like your experiences in like what's it like to kind of be a female coach?
Yeah, it's definitely difficult. I think I mentor 2 females at the minute trying to get into the game, and I think I'm just really, really honest that it is difficult. It's hard to make a name for yourself, and you're always going to kind of feel like you have to prove yourself that little bit more than everybody else. And I kind of always openly talk about that every time I go in, wherever I am, and it's a male-dominated environment, you're constantly feeling like you've got to prove yourself maybe, or give that extra 5-10%. I think there is a massive transition happening, and I talk really openly about that as well, that you do see more females coming through. You do see more even just like female referees. I was at a game at the weekend up at Villa, and there was a female linesman, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's a female linesman. But it shouldn't be like a oh my gosh moment. It should be that that's the norm, and it's not, and it needs to be. I think since the Euros win, obviously twice now, back to back, that's been huge.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think there's still a long way to go. We need to make it a little bit more kind of known that there needs to be more of a shift, and I've definitely struggled and had my struggles, and I think you're always going to get comments, and you're always going to get people that probably disagree that you're in full-time football as a female, and I'll openly talk about that. I think it is tough, and I think if you're coming into a coaching environment or any environment that's kind of male dominated, you have got to be thick-skinned. And I tell the 2 girls that I mentor at the minute that, you know, it is going to be tough. You are going to have comments, and you've got to be thick-skinned and be confident in yourself enough to go, I do belong here. And it's really important to make sure that we create an environment that people do belong here, and hopefully in the future we'll see more females across the board in football. But yeah, it's definitely tough sometimes, and good days, bad days. Some days you go, oh, why do I do it? And then you'll have another day where you go, this is unreal, and I wouldn't want to do anything else. And I think even though it is difficult, I still wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
Yeah. I know you said about like feeling the pressure of having to prove yourself.
Yeah.
But what would you say are like other challenges, and like also like the benefits of being a female coach, and just like what would you say is like you bring to it?
Yeah, I think like I'd say like personally, like I bring a massively like caring side to it. I think you've got to put the like player like not first. You have to put the person first a little bit more. So I think like I've co-coached with quite a lot of male coaches, and I think maybe I bring a more caring, like almost like not maternal side of like these are people first and they're going through a lot. And I think you're also coming in knowing you're a bit more relatable, especially to kind of like a female environment of, I do relate to you, I was a player, I have been through this transition of, you know, GCSEs and coming and like becoming a woman and all of that. So I think you can be relatable, you know what they need. I think maybe I'm a bit more emotional, I would say, so like that can help as well. So I think the benefits are huge to having females, and you know, you've got to understand that the players are also looking up to you because you're a little bit more relatable and you've got similar experiences to them, and you'll have different experiences, and it's about helping them through that. So I think like there are benefits to it. I think sometimes like challenges wise, like other challenges can be that people don't necessarily take you seriously. So I think that can be difficult because you want to be taken seriously and you're constantly going, you know, I want a little bit more, and you want more for the girls and you want more for kind of your environment and stuff. So it's trying to push that through, but doing it in the right way and doing it in a respectful way so that, you know, everybody is kind of on a level playing field. But I do think that change is happening. I just think it's going to take maybe a little bit more time to do that. But I do think, you know, there's huge benefits having females in the game. Like no matter where you coach, whether you coach grassroots full time, like there's always something that can be done to add more there, for sure. Yeah,
definitely. Who would you say are like your main role models, like in coaching, that you'd say that you kind of look up to?
Yeah, so I think I've got a few, to be fair. I think if I was looking at like my experience in terms of like female role models, like I was massively put under like Sam at Derby, and I was also put under Tafty, which is called Lauren Taft. She's known as Tafty.
She used to be my coach
Yeah,
at Derby.
so I would say like they taught me everything I knew and massively took me under their wing when I was like nothing, so I didn't know anything. I was like just a puppy coming in, like thinking everything was amazing. So I think them two are massive people that I've learnt off. Still very close to them to this day, but yeah, I was basically put under Tafty, and she was just giving me everything and more that I could possibly have needed. So yeah, me and her are like two peas in a pod now. I'd say we're very, very close mates, best mates to be fair, and I still go to her for advice, and I think it's really nice because she's seen me from nothing to like now, and she's a massive help even now with like the B licence coming up, and we meet for coffee probably I'd say like once a week and catch up with things. So she's somebody that I massively look up to. And Sam, obviously, like from a leadership perspective, like she's the first leader I've ever been under, and I think I learned a lot in terms of what it takes, and you don't necessarily know, I don't think, what it takes, and she's amazing with that. So them two, I'd say, are kind of the first people, like first females I got massive exposure to learn off. But I think like role models growing up, I would say like Emma Hayes was always someone I wanted to be. I'd love to spend a day with her just to know what she gets up to. I watch all of her like little clips and her documentaries and all of that. So I think she's a massive role model. I think what her and Serena have done have probably been around the longest in the face of the game for the longest, and they've seen a massive probably transition of what's happened probably the last 5 years. But I think most recently it's got to be Renee at Arsenal for what she's come in and done. She was an interim manager, and I think she worked in the younger age groups as well, like 21s. And she's come up, she's been given an opportunity, and she's like absolutely flying. So I think she's somebody I massively look up to go, here's your chance, and she took it. And then they couldn't be doing any better, to be honest. So I think she's somebody who I massively look up to.
It's great to see like more female managers coming in to the WSL, and obviously Serena Wiegman is a massive name at the moment. She brought England 2 Euros back to back. How do you think like those Euros win helped women's football in England for young girls as well, like progress?
Yeah, I think like she's huge. She's such a lovely person as well, which I think massively helps. Like I'm very fortunate to have met her a couple of times and watched her coach, and she's just such a presence, but in like the best way. I think what she's done and what the like the group of the team had done that year, like the first time round, was probably where the biggest influx happened, because even I know like I was still at Hilton at that point, or like just kind of stepping away from that, and the amount of girls that we had who came down who didn't even really want to make the squad, so just wanted to come and try. So we started like a full Wildcats programme because of that, with you're looking at like 50-60 girls coming down and across the night, and then obviously on a weekend at the racecourse you see so many like more girls teams now coming and playing at grassroots level, and you're hoping that that's the next Ella Toon or the next Russo or whoever, and even if it's not in a playing capacity, it might inspire them to go, okay, well I can be the physio, or I can be the ref on the pitch, or I can be the head coach. And I do think they've massively transformed the game, to be honest with you. Like they're unreal at what they've done. And to do it back to back under the circumstances, and I think they were written off, I would say, the second time quite a few times, and they seemed to get out of it. So I think what they've done for young girls is prove that you can do it, and it doesn't matter where you've come from. A lot of the girls in that squad have come from grassroots. They've come from that background of working their way up through grassroots academy to now Euros champions, which is crazy to say, and a few of them back to back because they were involved in both squads. So I think they've probably like proved to young girls that it doesn't matter kind of where you come from, where you start, you can do what you put your mind to, whether that's football related or not. So I think, and also they've kind of brought crowds in because they're entertaining to watch, and you never know what's going to happen next, and the atmosphere that they've created is unreal. I mean, I was at Pride Park a couple of months back for one of their like friendlies, and the atmosphere was unreal, and I think people want to go because they want to watch them, but they want to go because the atmosphere is good. The football's unreal, if you ask me, like from where it's come from. It's fast paced, you don't know what's going to happen next. There's massive kind of look now on set pieces and everything like around that, which is so good to watch. So I think they've inspired young girls, but I think also they've they've inspired a lot of like boys to go and watch as well, which is really good. I like speak to people, especially at St George's and at a few programmes that I work on, and they want to watch as well, which is really nice. Or you go, who's your favourite player, and it's not just a male player anymore. It's Chloe Kelly's my favourite because she got us out of every situation we needed to get out of. So yeah, I think it's not just the young girls that they've inspired as well, because now the boys want to go and watch, and their mum and dads want to go and watch, and you do see a lot more people going to watch live. The only kind of issue I think is that's still there is kind of the TV viewing. Obviously that's still fairly low. Like when do you think that will kind of change? Do you think there'll be a moment where that will kind of increase and they'll get a lot more viewers online? I think the difficulty you've got with the viewing is I think it's on at times where there's like male games on at the same time. They're competing with them. So they're constantly competing with that, which is difficult because as horrible as it is, the males teams do get more viewers and you know, it's not right, and it's not for any reason other than people follow that. I think the viewing will go up, but I think they need to be put on at times where people can watch both, because if they're on at the same time, it's very difficult to do that. I know there's a few teams that tend to get shown a lot more than others as well, so it'd be nice to kind of see where they go. Every WSL game is covered, 1 and 2, and I think the FA Cup's a massive like opportunity to do that, and there's teams coming from tiers 4, 5, 6 who have like made the last 16 and now they're getting television, and like, so I think the FA Cup's maybe a massive one where viewing can go up. Because I was watching a couple of the FA games at the weekend, and you're like, this is class that you've got, you know, the likes of Chatham Town going in against like a WSL club, they've drawn London Bees, and they've drawn somebody massive the next round, and Chatham have got a big draw, and like that's what you want to see. And, you know, swapping shirts with Alex Greenwood, like one of the Bournemouth players, like that's what you want to see, and like people want to watch that. So I think maybe the FA Cup is the opportunity for viewing to go up. I think it's in a good place, but I think there's still room. 100%. There's still room, but no, it's going well at the moment, I think. Yeah, definitely.
In terms of like your kind of next steps and like your ambitions, what are you kind of working on at the minute, and like what's like your future goals? Just anything in coaching or? So I think at the minute the goal this season is to get my B licence under my belt, I think, because I think that opens up a massive opportunity and hopefully a few doors. I think my next steps would be to be in a manager role, whatever that looks like. I'm not kind of picky, I would say, so like as long as it's kind of 16s or 18s or 21s, like where I am the leader. I think I've massively missed that this season. I think not having a team week in, week out, because I've been so busy with the FA and various other projects and stuff, I've not necessarily had a team all season that I can call mine, and I think I massively missed that. So I think the next step would be, whether it's for the rest of this season or going into next season, would be to get that kind of solidified and work towards that really. And then future plans, I always say this, and I get either a few laughs or I get people taking me seriously, but I would like to be a manager one day in the WSL, and that's always kind of been the goal. Somebody said to me the other day, would you be England manager? And I said but we'll see how that goes. So I'd love to do that in the women's game, but I've been working a lot as well the last couple of months with like boys teams, so definitely open to like boys opportunities as well, working with like 18s to 21s a lot at the minute as well, like boys, so I'd be up for doing that, but I do think that comes with a little bit more pressure as a female. So that's the long-term goal is the WSL and beyond, potentially, you know, in terms of international. But I've got to get my B licence first, got to keep my feet on the ground a little bit and work my way up to that, because that doesn't just come. And then hopefully I'd like to say that by 30 my goal is to kind of get my A licence or beyond my A licence, and working towards that to then be able to build into a first team environment, whether that's as an assistant and then building up, or potentially being like interim like Renee was, and then obviously getting it full time. So being back in full time football is good, but I definitely miss a team environment. So I think getting myself a team before the end of this season, going into next with your B licence under your belt, and then building from there really. Perfect. In terms of like role models, who would you say is like your role models that you've like either worked with or like grown up kind of watching and like who would you say you've kind of learnt from in coaching?
Yeah, so I think my first team environment that I was under Sam Griffiths, who was like the manager, she still is now, and I was also under Lauren Taft. So kind of got put under Lauren Taft's wing. We're still best friends to this day, so she's known as Tafty. She kind of taught me everything I knew in terms of like detail and how to deliver and just how to be as a person, I think, and having that balance between being close to the players and also having boundaries. So she was someone that I massively learnt from in terms of that, and we still keep in contact to this day around like coaching elements, and she's going to help me with my B licence and that kind of transition. So she's someone who's massively important to me and still is. And then Sam was the first person that I was under in terms of management, so I learnt a lot in terms of like her management style and how she was with the players, and she's just very calm. And I think sometimes it's about like what you don't say and like being calm on the sideline. So I massively learnt from her in terms of you can have different styles and kind of drop in and drop out of styles. So she was someone I massively learnt off from that.
Thank you for watching or listening to the latest episode of On the Grass, the football coaching podcast from the Derbyshire FA and us here at Derby Uni Footy Journos. And a thank you to Alex Wainwright and to Mark Smith behind the camera and all the production crew. Make sure to drop us a follow on Instagram for all the latest updates, and we'll see you again soon.
Yes!